And Dr. Harris, of course, as leader of Team Unity, gave a sort of a history about how Team Unity all came together.
Yes.
And that was a very inspiring address. Today, on this program, we are going to have that address for you. We are going to also have the feature address of Dr. Milton Brown, who is a man of very, very good reputation in terms of his medical profession. He's a professor at Georgetown University and on a number of national boards and so on in the United States with respect to health care. Then also, we are going to leave you with the address of the Prime Minister at the Bastia High School for the opening of the new school term, and that of the Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Sean Richards, who is the Minister of Education. We hope that you enjoy these addresses.
Ladies and gentlemen, I consider it a distinct honor to officially introduce our distinguished gathering to the Honorable Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Sylvester Harris. Born on December 6, 1964 in Tabernacle, St. Kitts, Dr. Harris has had the distinction of being both the third Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis and the first politician to serve as Prime Minister under our new Team Unity administration. He was sworn in as Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis on February 16, 2015, following the success of the tripartite Team Unity coalition in the general election. He has had a successful political career, having been elected for 6 uninterrupted terms as the Member of Parliament for St. Christopher VII since 1993. Dr. Harris currently serves as Minister of Finance, Sustainable Development, National Security, People Empowerment, and Constituency Empowerment. Due to his long tenure as Member of Parliament, he has certainly earned the title of being a ministerial all-arounder, given the portfolios he has held over the past 22 years. They are as follows: Minister of Agriculture, Lands and Housing, Minister of Education, Labor and Social Security, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Education, Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Trade, Industry, Commerce, and Consumer Affairs, and Minister of Finance. A 1988 graduate of the University of West Indies, Cave Hill campus, Dr. Harris earned at that institution a Bachelor of Science degree with first-class honors in accounting. He was the only graduate of the BSc Accounting program to obtain this distinction. He also received the Victor Crook Prize for Best Accounting Student. In 1990-92, Dr. Harris pursued a Master of Science degree in accounting at the St. Augustine campus of UWI in Trinidad. He graduated top of the class with an MSc degree, earning a distinction in accounting. Unwavering in his academic pursuits, Dr. Harris successfully defended his PhD dissertation at Concordia University in Montreal, Canada in 2001. His Doctor of Philosophy degree is in administration with a concentration in accounting. An avid reader and prolific researcher and writer, Dr. Harris has authored a number of publications, including Portraits of a Nation, St. Kitts Nevis celebrating 25 years of independence, and the dynamics of international trade diplomacy, the case of China and Taiwan in the Caribbean, 1971 to 2005. To his credit, he has also written and presented articles on a variety of subjects from politics to accounting to finance. A keen sports enthusiast, Prime Minister Harris has sponsored several local sporting events and social activities. He has served as patron of the Dr. Timothy Harris Basketball League and the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris Constituency 7 Domino League for more than a decade, largely in pursuit of his passion to use sports as a means of unifying and empowering people. Ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you our esteemed Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Sylvester Harris.
Good night to everyone. Please allow me to adopt the protocol which has been established before me. Save I must use this occasion to acknowledge the presence of my cabinet colleagues, and in particular, Premier the Honorable Vance Amory and Mrs. Amory, the Honorable Lindsay Grant and Mrs. Grant, the Honorable Ian Patches Liebert and his special friend. I want to acknowledge also the Honorable Attorney General, Mr. Vincent Byron, and his wife, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton. He's not with his wife, he asked me to say, but we are happy to have him accompanied tonight. We have also Senator Wendy Phipps with us, and Sean Richards is expected to be a bit late. Mark Wantley unavoidably could not be here tonight. Let me also pay honor and respect to the former Governor General, Sir Cuthbert Sebastian, who is here with us, and of course, our newly minted national hero, the Right Honorable Dr. Kennedy Simmons. I beg leave, of course, of the Governor General to end at this point of recognition. Let us also note that Sir S.W. Tapley Seaton was recently knighted by Her Majesty, and we want to commend him for the meteoric rise in his standing as a representative of Her Majesty in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. The country, in my view, is off to a good start. And I was tempted to use the word of the pastor before me. The country is off to a fresh start. To God be the glory. I want to thank all of you and welcome all of you out tonight for this, the first Prime Ministerial Gala under a Team Unity administration. And we are delighted because we do appreciate that you had a choice and you chose to be here. For that, the entire cabinet and I are extremely pleased, and we thank you for honoring us with your presence. This gathering represents a rich cross-section of the country, and in many respects, I believe it exemplified what Team Unity is about. Bringing our people together. Bringing our people together for a common purpose. And in this case, to make St. Kitts and Nevis the best small island state in which we can live, our children can grow and develop, and investors, of course, can earn profitable returns. So we welcome all of you to tonight's gala, and we are humbled that so many of you should choose to come. We are hoping that beyond tonight and the celebrations to which Dawn, our MC, made reference, that you will really join us in a genuine partnership to advance this great federation on a higher and better path of growth and development. So not only us, but the generations after us can look back and say that we have done well. We use our stint in office to further build, to further create, and to advance all the citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis. Team unity, of course, is a people's movement. And when someday some brave person with time should write the history of how this movement began, several persons who are now unknown will come to the fore. And it will surprise you at the diverse group of people who had the idea that unity's time had come. It would surprise you at the lengths to which many persons, without expecting anything than to see the country take a new path, a new direction in terms of its governance and development, the lengths in which they went to ensure that team unity would come. I will not be the author of that book, but I can add a view about it since I've been part and parcel of this development. I want to acknowledge in the early years in which Sam and I, as leaders of the former Labour Party, would come together, would, as it were, discuss, share our sorrows and our grief, and look to the future with expectation. Without the work of Sam Kanda and the early founders of the People's Labour Party, this moment perhaps would not have come at this time. Could we give them a round of applause? I recall that one evening we were called to a meeting, and we were advised that some of the persons who had been in the forefront had come to believe, well, they had done the best they could, and that the politicians now had to take the lead. They had sat, they had discussed, they had teased each other with ideas, and they wanted us to come. And we went to a strange place over in Half Moon, in a strange house. I've never been there before. What a beautiful home it was. And there we came across Constance Mitchell sitting at the table. And there we came across Vincent Byron sitting there at the table. And there would come sometime after Eugene Hamilton and Sean Richards. And there also in that room was Clecton Phillip, and there also was Dwyer Rastafan, and a few others who perhaps would prefer not to be named. I want to thank them, because I believe it was the first time, although we had met before as politicians, we were in a situation where we had persons urging in terms of getting on with this exercise if we were serious. I want to commend Ambassador Constance Mitchell for her leadership at the time and her strong, unknown support perhaps until now to this cause. Ambassador Mitchell, could you stand and could we recognize her and give her a round of applause? In the earlier days, when it was risky given the times, she provided strong support, and she provided support not only of mind, but also of financial resources. We were happy that she had a lot of it. Thank you very much. I want equally to thank my teacher of history, Attorney General Byron, who on many occasions, as we sat down to discuss, and Juicy is known to take us on very long conversations, and he would say, I've come across this book, Tim, and it tells me a lot about leadership. What it is about leadership. He said, I think you should read the book. I said, but we ain't have time all right now, sir. You have to tell me about the book. He said about 3 critical things mentioned in the book about leadership. He said you have to have courage. Have to have courage. Because these were new times for St. Kitts and Nevis. These were times where only a few people were willing to take a stand for what they believe. This was a time in which it was risky to be aligned with such a new thought. So new was the thought that at one point we were a concoction, we were this, we were that. They couldn't define us. And so we were this strange element in the body politic, which some people were scared of, and which some persons sought to condemn before we were to go. But he reminded me of the need for courage. And it took a lot of courage, not just on my part and some parts, but Lindsay's part, and Ian's part, and Eugene's part, and Sean's part, and Mark's part, and Premier Emery's part, and all of us who were part of that initial movement. It took a special brand of courage. And tonight, I am glad that we all did. And I want to graciously say thank you to all of my colleagues who had the courage, and the Attorney General who taught us what courage meant. It took courage, if you begin to think about it, for the Nevis politician to come to St. Kitts, to, as it were, to be part of unity. It took courage for Mark Grantley, who some says is a professed secessionist, to come to St. Kitts to hold the mantle of unity. And yet, when the moment came on the 26th of September 2013, it was Mark Grantley whose eloquent voice was being heard, singing praises and confidence that unity's time had come. And I want to record my gratitude to him, my gratitude to the leadership of Premier Emery. Although in the early hours, he did not speak much publicly on this, he had always, from day one, been very firm that unity's time had come, that he was committed to seeing it to a successful conclusion, that he will do all that he can in support of it. And he told us his time frame and how he will approach it. And there were many anxious moments when some, again, continuing what was the antithesis of unity, began the division. Vance not Natal. A Mark. Is that power-hungry Mark like power-hungry Timothy? Is they talking about unity? You know, see Vance not study with them. And then Vance spoke. I want to thank Patches Liebert, because Patches got Vance and his radio program to speak publicly about his support for unity. But beyond that though, what I like most and what I will remember perhaps best about Premier Emery is that he never wavered. We met several times, and every time he was confident in his expression that he was in support of this movement on which we had embarked. And there were times when we wanted to change the pace at which things would go, perhaps in reaction. And he said, fellas, this is how we have to do it. There was much wisdom now on hindsight in the approaches, in the restraint in which he advised when there were many tempting situations facing the group. And that is why I've said repeated publicly that Premier Army has been a bulwark of support, of strength within this team unity movement. And to date, every word he has said to me, he has kept his word. Let's give Premier Emery a round of applause. I want to thank his wife, not because she is an excellent campaigner, and he restrained her, I am told, but because very early she showed me love, support, and concern. And she said to me, if there were ever a worrying moment, please call me. I will be your prayer warrior. Sometime this week, she reminded me of the power of prayer. Lady Emery, I want to express gratitude now publicly to you for that. Equally, I left telling you the story about the Attorney General, and it was the courage that led all of us there, and each of us could report an instance of courage. Courage, for example, when on that day, the 16th of January it was, when the Parliament became the sham that he had become, after denying the people for so long the opportunity to test the motion of no confidence. It took courage for us that night to say that justice had to be done. It took us more than courage. It took a deep, abiding sense of justice, which was one of the other elements of the great leader which my teacher spoke to me about. You must have a sense of justice. And when the Parliament was defiled and the way it was, on the 16th of January 2015, not just we in the leadership, shocked as we were by the extreme level to which the government would go, but I believe many people woke up that day with a great sense that an injustice had been done to the people, and that injustice could not go unchecked. So I want to thank all the people for that. My teacher will give me 2 out of 3, 66%, that's not too bad. Third one now I reminded. The third one was the stamina. And I can't say how much more stamina we could have shown as a team than to have endured 26 months of a brutal, sometimes too personal, a campaign. And yet at the end of the day, Sera, Sera, the judgment of God and the will of the people ensure that on the 16th February, we were off to a fresh start. I say thank you again to the wonderful people of St. Kitts and Nevis. I want to wrap up but quickly say to the AG, he has been not only a teacher, sound advisor, strong believer in the idea of unity. And I'm told that when a man's mind is stretched to an idea, it never returns again from the place at which it left to, as it were, grab on to that idea. I want to thank Lindsay, because Lindsay in his own way brought good support to the effort. I remember as we struggled in the early days with no place to meet, no office. Well, we were unity. We were not PAM. We were not Labour. We were not PLP. We were not CCM. We were unity. And we said we needed a place to meet. We were tired of meeting at this house and that house. Among friends, some of whom are here from the West. Don't know if I should name them, but at another time when the book is written. But we met many places for security and other reason. because they were dangerous times. But Lindsay turned his office for a while into the headquarters part-time for the Team Unity group so that we could meet, we could confer. And so Lindsay, I want on behalf of the team to thank you. And although we took professional time and your client's time, you have not billed us yet. And we hope that for the new year, we will not be getting a billing. So I want to thank you very much for that and for much more. Because that was our home before we were able to get our office on 4th Street. And in that regard, I want again to thank Constance Mitchum for providing support for that particular Team Unity headquarters. Again, if we could give her a round of applause. Jean and I go back in very special ways. He's my neighbor. And I was always advised that in politics, you have to take care of the neighbor because they are going to be spin-off across the boundaries. And therefore, I had a vested interest in ensuring that he was strong, because making him strong made me stronger. He was one of the first persons who came to my constituency. Not one of the first, he was the first politician who would have come to Tabernacle when we had our joint meetings and asked those who were then opposed to the People's Labour Party, to Labour, to me, to put aside the differences, because unity, that idea, its time had come. And so I want to thank him. And I was happy that I was able to go and to leave him strong support in St. Peter's, up New Road, and all those areas in which we had to go to bring home. And he did such a wonderful job on election day. Many who had written him off, he was proud to say, "This is my resurrection." I want to thank him for bringing home St. Christopher 8 in such a solid way. That's as far as the elected persons who are here. Sean has always been a special part of the team. And he and I had had a good relationship even before then. Again, Consi knows and the team knows some of the special developments that had happened. And the challenges as we went through that 26 difficult years, the highs and the lows. And I want to thank all for their support, both for myself, the Premier, and Sean as a leader of PAM. We would not have done a good job without the help of many, some of whom are here, and I want to single out in particular our Lady Senator Wendy Phipps, a professional, well accomplished. And she brought much of her skills, her creativity, particularly as a writer and one well-rounded in business, to bear in helping us in drafting and writing our manifesto. So I want to thank her for her support both before government and now leading an important ministry on behalf of Team Unity. Could we give our Lady Senator a round of applause? Equally next door is another lady in the government, Josephine Huggins. She has been a stalwart of support. She has brought to bear wide knowledge of the public sector to assist us in the transition. She's also an accomplished businesswoman in her own right, and I want to thank her the way in which she has worked day in and day out in support of Team Unity and this new administration. I want to just end by referring to Samuel Duggins, one of the young persons from West Barstow who came to the team early, and we were able to pick out that this was a creative genius, and he provided much support to us in several areas of the campaign, Samuel, I want to thank you and to thank your wife for allowing you time, but you married her after the event, so she should thank Team Unity for shaping you. Truly, it has been a wonderful experience for all of us. Our lives have been changed for the better. We have not yet accomplished all that we set out to do, but in good time we will. What we have been able to do so far, it's amazing in terms of delivery, amazing in terms of any new government, especially one succeeding, one that has been there for 20 years. And we could count our blessing. 16 million for the sugar workers, relief from VAT, legislation for good governance brought to the parliament, and we could go on and on. We ended the shift system, which had created trauma in society for 3 years, less than 1 year, and we were able to fix that problem that we inherited. And on the 4th of January, we shall have the official opening of the temporary location for the students and teachers at the Barstow High School. And we promise, within 18 months thereafter, a brand new modern Barstow High School will be offered to the students that are covered by that particular school. Again, this is a government that has been at work. Dr. Simmons' support publicly for unity came at critical times, and I want to acknowledge you, Sir Kennedy, for your support. I contacted you through the kind auspices of one of your best friends, Richard Gaines, and we agreed to meet, and we did meet at your home, and we had a very insightful and instructive conversation regarding the politics and the way forward. There was not a moment when publicly you spoke that created unease for me or for my team. Indeed, every public statement, in my view, helped to ignite the banner of Team Unity. Without you, what we have accomplished would have never happened. I want to thank you for being a genuine national leader, moving on the partisan political politics to ensure that our country could have this fresh start. And so on behalf of all of you and so many others who gave support and counsel, my government wishes to say thank you. And the best tribute that we can pay to the wonderful people of St. Kitts and Nevis is to ensure we work hard and we deliver. And delivering, we have already begun to do. With your prayers, with your help, we will continue to do even more. I want every one of you, irrespective of the way in which you voted on February 16, to come help us build this country. One of the unique things about Team Unity is that we have not defined people by their politics. We have not defined people by their party. If we had defined people by their party, we couldn't come together. We had to say it was not important that they were or they are PAM or Labour or CCM or they're not aligned to any party. What was important is that they wanted to work together to bring positive changes to the land of our birth. So I'm going to end now because I can get carried away on unity. And my Attorney General likes to talk about that. As a founding father, he keeps saying, we need to tell people more what this unity meant. Long before we were talking about prosperity agenda, unity was about good governance, term limit, electoral reform, constitutional reform. And I wish I had the opportunity to talk at my budget, I would have spent time talking about team unity. So I want to thank him really for that passion that he has brought and that reminder. We are a team, we are not a one-man show. And many had predicted that we will fall in a few days. They now recognize that this team unity movement will last for a lifetime. Thank you very much, and help us to give substance and meaning every day to team unity, because team unity is about our country and our people. To God be the glory. Thank you.